It was raining the day of my mother's funeral. The wind felt like a knife. The priest said something about her going to a better place. I didn't hear a single word. My stepfather stood across the coffin. His expression wasn't grief, but relief. She said she loved him, but now she's dead. Pesticide poisoning. The coroner said it was an accident. Drank it by mistake. I don't believe it. I stood before my mother's coffin, looking at her pale face. She lay there in a white dress. The coffin was filled with white lilies, her favorite. By her left hand lay a single red rose. I stared at it, my heart suddenly racing. Mother hated roses. I leaned down and took that rose out of the coffin, placed it in my bag. The movement so gentle, like picking up a fragile secret. No one noticed. Everyone was crying, or pretending to cry. My name is Vera Gray, 34, medical examiner in LA. Yes, the kind of job dealing with the dead every day. I chose this profession because I want to speak for those who cannot. The dead don't lie. They don't sign fake contracts, don't say they love you and then hit you, or put a flower you hate in your coffin. After the funeral, I returned to my mother's house.
Yes, the funeral went smoothly. Transfer the title next week. I know, but things have to be done. Via, are you okay?
No, I'll stay in Mom's room.
I'm planning to redecorate that room.
I look into his eyes. His eyes are brown, looking very gentle like the nice guy in farm produce commercials. But I've seen his other side. I've seen him call my mother an idiot right in front of me at the dinner table. I was only 22 then, just graduated from college, no job, no money, no ability to protect her.
Richard, I'm staying in Mom's room. No need for renovation.
I walked into my mother's room and closed the door. The room was very clean, the bed made neatly. The cosmetics on the dressing table are arranged by color. My mother was someone with OCD. Her lipsticks had to be arranged by shade. Her books had to be in alphabetical order. Her pesticide bottles had to be on the third shelf of the storage room. That's why the claim that she mistook pesticide for water is so absurd. Mother wouldn't misplace anything. Never. I open her closet. The clothes are all dark, black, gray, dark blue. I rummage to the very back and find a red sweater. It was her favorite color. But Richard said wearing red was too flashy. Since then, she never wore red again. It still has her scent, lavender detergent, and a faint smell of smoke. I cry. Not a silent cry, but an animal like wail squeezed from my throat. I bury my face in the sweater, crying until I can't catch my breath. Tears seep into the red yarn, making the color even darker. After crying for a long time, I wipe my tears and take that rose out of my bag. I place it on the dressing table and look at it. A rose without thorns. The petals are deep red, with slightly charked edges, as if burned by something. I pick up my phone and take a picture. Then I call my colleague at the lab.
Martha, I need you to do a DNA test for me.
What sample?
Pesticide residue on the petals.
Whose?
My mother's.
Vera, wasn't your mother's death an accident?
I don't know. That's why I need it tested.
When I returned to Los Angeles, I went straight to the lab. Martha was already waiting for me. She's a woman in her 50s who's been in this business for 30 years. She has seen all kinds of death, but she says the most heartbreaking are those that are pretended to be accidents.
Give me the sample. There's pesticide residue on the petals. I need you to cross-match it. See if it's the same batch as the pesticide found in my mother's body. Do you know what you're talking about? If it's a match, it's not an accident, it's murder. I know. Are you sure you want to know the answer? Martha, I speak for the dead every day.
Every second felt like a hammer striking my heart. I thought of my mother's last days. Her voice was so low over the phone.
Vera, I think your stepfather is poisoning me.
I thought she was just being paranoid. Mom, you should see a doctor.
Doctor is Richard's friend.
Then let me book you another one.
No need, I'm fine.
That was our last call. 3 days later, she died.
The comparison is successful. The pesticide on the petals is the same batch as that in your mother's body, and
This batch of pesticides hit a Richard's farm.
And what?
I formulated him myself. Formula contains 3 components, one of which is a highly toxic substance that has been banned for years.
I took the report, reading it line by line. Science doesn't lie. Data doesn't lie. Every line of numbers tells me the same thing. My mother's death was not an accident. She was murdered by the man who put a thornless rose in her coffin. That man even used a poison impossible to buy on the market, thinking no one could trace its source.
Vera, are you going to call the police?
No.
Why not?
Because I need more evidence. He didn't kill her on an impulse, it was planned. He waited 12 years, waiting until she was tortured beyond recognitions, forgotten by everyone so no one would suspect a thing when she died. I need him to walk right into a trap himself.
What trap?
The Los Angeles sunset dyed the sky tangerine, like the color of my mother's red sweater. I remembered the last time she laughed. That was 3 years ago, watching my dog chase squirrels. She laughed so loudly, like a child. That was the last time she laughed that loudly. He is getting remarried in 3 months. I will give him a present at his wedding. I put that thornless rose back into the sealed bag and put it in my bag. It is no longer a flower. It is evidence, a weapon, the last words my mother left for me. News of Richard's remarriage came out 2 weeks after the funeral. The bride is Veronica, 35, blonde, great figure, and his farm accountant. I checked her records. She's not a bad person. Not yet, anyway. She's just another woman fooled by Richard. Like my mother was. I looked at her Instagram, full of farm photos, picnics under the oak tree, selfies with Richard.
Forever home. Does she know how many lives are buried in this man's forever?
I decided to attend the wedding. Not as family, but as an invited guest. Richard obviously wouldn't invite me, but I have my ways. I wrote a letter to Veronica using my mother's name, Lucia Gray. The letter was short. Veronica, I am Richard's ex-wife. I have something to tell you. See you at the wedding. I didn't sign it, but I included a photo, my mother in that red sweater, smiling like a child. In that photo, her eyes were bright, corners of her mouth turned up, and the sunlight fell on her hair like golden honey. Veronica will come, because she wants to know the truth. Every woman does. The day I sent the letter, I stood in front of the mail slot for a long time. The envelope felt heavy in my hand, like a stone. Finally, I let go, and it slid in with a soft thud. It has begun. Over the next 3 months, I did 3 things. First, I looked into Richard's farm records. For the past 3 years, he's ordered a batch of special pesticide every year. The quantity was huge, far more than his farm could possibly need. Where did the extra pesticides go? No one knows. I spent 2 weeks driving around the small towns surrounding the farm, took hundreds of photos, wrote down the license plate of every truck that went in and out. Second, I looked into my mother's medical records. In the 6 months before she died, she saw a doctor 5 times, and every time it was the same symptoms: dizziness, nausea, insomnia, blurred vision. The doctor prescribed her medication but never did a toxicology test. Why? Because the doctor is Richard's friend. Over the past 10 years, Richard donated $300,000 to that clinic. I went to that clinic to register, wanting to see that doctor.
He is on vacation.
When will he be back?
Not sure.
Is it that he will never come back? Third, I found someone. Her name is Grace, 56 years old, Richard's ex-wife. Yes, Richard has been married 3 times. The first wife was Grace, the second was my mother Lucia, and the third is his soon-to-be wife Veronica. Grace lives in a small town in Arizona, alone, with 3 dogs and 5 cats. I drove to find her. The navigation showed 6.5 hours. It wasn't even dawn when I set out, and mine was the only car on the highway. Grace's house was a small yellow one, the yard full of sunflowers. The sunflowers were tall, half a head taller than me, golden and quiet. When she opened the door, she had a cup of tea in her hand, gray hair, deep wrinkles on her face. But she looked much better than my mother's last years. At least her eyes were bright.
Are you Lucia's daughter?
How did you know?
Because of your eyes. Your mother had beautiful eyes. I met her once, before she married Richard. I told her not to marry him. She didn't listen.
Come in.
I have something to show you.
Are you investigating him?
I'm waiting. Waiting for someone to come to me. Waited 15 years.
Grace showed me the clippets. The first one, 30 years ago. Farmer Richard Gray was accused of animal cruelty, case dismissed due to lack of evidence. The second, 25 years ago. Grace Gray and Richard Gray divorced citing irreconcilable differences. The third article, 15 years ago. Fire broke out at Richard Gray's farm, resulting in determined to be an accident. 10 years ago, Lucia married Richard Gray and the two met at a charity accident.
What is the name of this worker? Carlos. Mexican immigrant. No papers. No tombstone after death. You don't think it was an accident? Vera, do you know what Richard Gray is best at? It's not about farming. It's about making people's deaths appear as accidents. Carlos was burned to death. Your mother was poisoned to death. I was almost killed by him. Almost. This is what he left behind when I accidentally fell down the stairs. There are no cameras on the stairs. No one saw it. The police said it was an accident. But I tell you, it's not.
I stayed the night at Grace's. She showed me a picture of Carlos, a Mexican man in his 30s, skin tanned by the sun, smiling with uneven white teeth. He worked on Richard's farm for 8 years and was 41 when he died.
He taught me how to make tortillas. He helped fix my pipes. On the day he died, he even said to me in the morning, "Grace, the weather's beautiful."
Why did he die?
Because he saw something he shouldn't have. Richard's farm grows organic vegetables on the surface, but in reality, he buried a lot of things in the ground. Carlos and I couldn't think
Like
of
what?
in illegal waste. He took a few pictures and saved them on his phone. The phone was burned later, but before it was destroyed, he sent the photos to me.
Grace took out an old phone from the drawer and plugged it in. The screen lit up with blurry photos, black liquid seeping from the ground. I spent the whole night photographing all her clippings, over 300 pages, every page a clue, every page a life. When I got home, it was almost dawn. I stood in my mother's room looking at her photo. She was wearing that red sweater, smiling. "Mom, I found her. The one who was deceived just like you. She waited 15 years. I won't let you wait that long." The wedding is set at Richard's farm, not indoors but outdoors, under a giant oak tree. He rented white tents, pink roses, and golden chairs. Everything is perfect, just like a fairy tale. But fairy tales always have villains. I arrived in town 3 days ago, room at a motel. The room is small, the sheets are floral, and from the window you can see the farm's silo. My plan is simple. On the wedding day, put that rose and the pesticide report into Veronica's bouquet. She will see it. She will definitely see it. Then she will ask a question. That question will be like a seed, taking root in her heart, and eventually shattering her fairy tale. But plans never keep up with changes. The night before the wedding, I received an anonymous call. The number was hidden. I answered it. A woman's voice came through, very low, as if afraid of being heard.
Vera, don't come to the wedding. He will kill you.
Who are you?
You don't know me, but I knew your mother. She was a good person. You shouldn't die here, too.
Then tell me, what should I do?
Grace.
Grace, what?
Grace is your aunt.
Grace is my aunt? My mother never meant she had a sister. Never. My mind felt like 1,000 bees were buzzing inside. At 3 a.m., I dialed Grace's number. She answered, her voice wide awake.
Grace, are you my aunt?
Yes.
Why didn't anyone tell me?
Because your mother didn't want you to know. She was afraid you'd get dragged into it, too.
Dragged into what?
Richard's business. His farm isn't a farm. It's a cover.
Richard's farm isn't for vegetables. It's an illegal waste disposal site. He buried industrial waste, chemicals underground, covered with crops. Carlos found out about this secret, so he died.
Your mother found out too, not by digging through Richard's ledger. She took photos of the ledger and saved them on a USB drive. Where is the drive? I don't know. But I know one thing. Richard is looking for it. He tore the whole house apart but found nothing, so he killed your mother. Not for the inheritance, not for another woman, for that USB drive.
I put down the phone, my fingers still trembling. My mother didn't just stumble upon it. She was actively investigating. When no one knew, she was already fighting. Udaisk. Where did she hide it? Where would a woman with obsessive-compulsive disorder hide her most precious thing? I searched her vanity, nothing. Closet, nothing. Under the bed, nothing. Bookcase, every book in alphabetical order, nothing. I stood in the middle of the room, palms sweating. Suddenly, my eyes fell on that red sweater, the one she loved but never dared to wear.
I picked it up, reaching into the inner pocket. My fingertips touched something small and hard, a USB drive. Black, tiny, fixed to the inner seam with clear tape. Even when hiding things, her OCD demanded perfect order. I plugged it into my laptop. The folder contained only one photo. A photo of a ledger. Rows of numbers documenting a decade of illegal trades. Date, amount, item, buyer. Every number a piece of evidence. The last line read, Lucia, followed by a date, the day she died. Amount was 0. Note, complete. Done. She wasn't an accident. She was done. A completed task. It's as if she was just a job, a to-do item, a crossed-off list. I didn't have her number, but I found her Instagram. A story post, white robe, face mask, hotel room, marrying him tomorrow, bright smile but faint dark circles under her eyes. Maybe she can't sleep either. Veronica, I'm Lucia's daughter. You can't marry him tomorrow. I have something to show you. Because I'm in the parking lot below your hotel, the one in the black coat. Are you coming down, or am I coming up?
Are you Lucia's daughter?
I am.
She's dead. I know.
It wasn't an accident. He killed her.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Are you going to the wedding tomorrow?
If I don't go, he will come looking for me. He will find me.
Then if you go, he will kill you. Just like he killed my mother.
She closed her eyes. I heard her breathing, rapid like a frightened little animal. I remember the night my mother was first beaten by Richard. She breathed like that too. I stood at her door, listening to her cry inside. I knocked and she said, I'm fine. I didn't know what to do. I was only 22 then. I thought I'm fine really meant fine. Now I know I'm fine is not fine.
Veronica, I have a way.
What way?
You go to the wedding. But when you go, there will be one more thing in your bouquet.
What is it?
The truth.
I am sitting in the last row, wearing sunglasses and a hat. No one recognizes me. In my bag, I have the Thornless rose and the test report. I already handed them to Veronica the night before.
Do you take this man? Needs your stand here. For richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health.
Wait a minute.
Veronica, what's wrong?
What is this?
I don't know. Maybe the florist made a mistake.
This wasn't a mistake by the florist. This is the flower you placed in Lucia's coffin. You thought no one saw, but someone did.
Veronica, what are you talking about? Have you lost your mind?
I'm not crazy. This is what I received. This is a test report. The pestistode on this flower is from the same batch as the pestistode on your farm. The same batch you used to kill Lucia.
Veronica, what's wrong with you? Who gave you these?
You don't need to know who. You just need to know you killed someone.
And you're going to kill me too.
I didn't kill anyone!
Then explain why the pesticide on this flower is the same as the pesticide found in Lucia's body.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to my wedding today. But the wedding is canceled because the man I am about to marry is a murderer. Hello, stepfather.
Vila? Why are you here?
I came to your wedding, just like you came to my mother's funeral.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything. You killed her. You killed Carlos. You almost killed Grace. And you were going to kill Veronica.
You have no proof.
I do. The flash drive is buried under your farm. The police are already digging it up.
I watched them take him away. For the first time, the sky looked different. This is the second rose I've taken from Richard's wedding. The first was from my mother's coffin. This one is from his grave.
Fia, how did you do it?
Do what?
Put all this evidence together. The USB drive, the lab report, Grace's clippets, Carlos's photo. You only took 3 months.
Because I think about her every day. Every morning I wake up, the first thing is, what do I have to do today to get her justice?
Aren't you afraid?
Yes. I was afraid he'd kill me before getting caught. I was afraid the cops wouldn't believe me. I was afraid the evidence wasn't enough. I was afraid of so much. But I was more afraid of doing nothing. You know, when you gave me that flower at the wedding, my first reaction wasn't fear, it was relief. Because I knew if I married him that day, I'd never forgive myself. You don't owe anyone an explanation.
But I owe your mother. She called me before she died. What did she say? She said, Veronica, don't marry him. He doesn't love you. He doesn't love anyone. I thought she was just jealous. I hung up on her.
Richard's case has gone to trial. I testify as a witness. I stand in the witness box, hand on at the jury, 12 people, 7 women, 5 men. Their expressions vary, some sympathetic, skeptical, some expressionless. But I know they will believe me, not because I am so credible, but because the evidence doesn't lie.
Ms. Chen, how did you first notice something suspicious about your mother's death?
At the funeral, my stepfather placed a rose in her coffin. My mother hated roses all her life. She would absolutely never allow anyone to put a rose in her coffin, so I became suspicious.
Why did you test the pesticide on the rose?
Because I am a medical examiner. I have seen too many accidental deaths. When something looks wrong, it usually is wrong. I presented the USB ledger, Grace's clippers, Carlos's photo, Martha's test report, and my mother's medical records, all presented to the jury one by one. Each piece of evidence was like a brick, building an unstambling wall. The bailist arrayed them on the table, like a small monument.
Ms. Chan, you've always had a bad relationship with your stepfather, right? Your mother's death biased you against him, right? You fabricated this evidence because you want revenge, right?
I looked at the lawyer. His eyes were beautiful, but there was no light in them, like a finely decorated empty room. My relationship with Richard was bad because he beat her, cursed her, and tortured her when my mother was alive. My bias against him is built on his abuse of my mother.
I didn't fabricate any evidence. Every number, every date, every drop of pestine is real. You can question my motives, but you cannot question science.
Your Honor, the prosecution calls its next witness, Grace Gray. Grace Gray, you are the defendant's ex-wife, aren't you?
Yes.
How many years were you married to the defendant?
7 years.
Why did you divorce?
Because he almost killed me.
Order!
He pushed me on the stairs. I fell down 12 steps. 3 broken ribs, a fractured left arm, a concussion. I spent 2 months in the hospital. He said it was my own carelessness. The police believed him.
Do you have evidence?
No, not then. But I have something else. This is Carlos Mendoza. He worked on Richard's farm for 8 years. He was the first to discover Richard burying industrial waste in the field. He died. A fire. Richard said accident. This is Lucia. She found Richard's ledgers. She took photos, saved them on a USB drive. She died. Pesticide poisoning. Richard said accident. Richard Gray, you've said accident many times, but your accidents only happen to those who discover your secrets. Carlos discovered your waste, accident. Lucia discovered your ledgers, accident. I almost discovered your secret. Not an accident. It's murder.
Ms. Grace, you've been collecting materials about the defendant ever since your divorce, haven't you?
Yes.
For 15 years, you've been waiting to see him fall, haven't you?
Yes.
Don't you think that shows you have a bias?
Of course I have a bias. Because I've seen what he did. I don't need to be unbiased. What I need is justice.
Do you have anything further to add?
Richard, do you know what Carlos said to me on the morning he died? He said, Grace, the weather is beautiful today, and it was. The sun was bright, the sky was blue. You buried him on a day like that. You sleep on days like that. Do you sleep well?
Richard Gray is sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. I sit in the gallery listening to the judge read the verdict. My hands are shaking. Not out of fear, but because it's finally over. 12 years, I watched him torture my mother. 3 months, I gathered the evidence. Today, he's finally locked away. Every word from the judge is like a nail, nailing his freedom shut, inch by inch. When I saw Richard being taken away, he looked back at me. There was no hate left in his eyes, only a kind of emptiness, like a hollowed-out house. Windows broken, doors off, nothing left inside. I stood up and walked out of the courtroom. The sun was beautiful outside. I stood on the steps and took a deep breath. The wind carries the scent of flowers, not roses. It's some other flower. I don't know what it is, but it smells like hope. Like the lingering scent of lavender on my mother's red sweater. I inherited my mother's house. Not from Richard, but from the court. All his assets were confiscated to compensate the victims' families. Carlos's family received a sum of money, enough to buy a house back in Mexico. Grace received some money too. She said she's going to open an animal shelter. Veronica asked for nothing. She said she didn't need money. She needed to forget. I remodeled my mother's house. Not into a residence, but something else. I hired a crew, tore down the walls, opened up the rooms. Sunlight pours in from the skylight. I bought filing cabinets, boxes, labels. I filed everything away. Grace's clippings, Carlos' photos, all the evidence. One case per cabinet, one name per case. I hung a sign by the door, brass, gleaming in the sunlight. The archive of neglected death cases. The first person to walk in was Grace. She stood at the door, looking at the photo wall for a long time. Vera, your mother would be proud. On the day the archive opened, many people came. Not friends, not family, but strangers. There were lawyers, reporters, social workers, and families who had lost loved ones but never got justice. A woman walked in holding a folder. She was about 50, half her hair white, her eyes red, as if she had just been crying.
Are you Vera? I am. I brought his diary. You brought it. Can I read this?
I don't know. I only have his diary. He wrote a lot, but I can't read it.
Let me see.
That woman's case was the first official case in my archive. Her name was Margaret. Her husband, Thomas, 55, a truck driver. He saw something on the road he shouldn't have, a truck dumping industrial waste late at night. He jotted down the license plate. The next day, he died. His car accidentally lost control and crashed into the highway guardrail. The police called it fatigue driving. I contacted Grace. On the other end of the line, she was feeding the dogs, with barking in the background.
Give me the diary. I'll check that license plate.
3 days later, she called. Her voice was more urgent than usual.
That truck belongs to Richard Gray's farm.
Not under his name, but a partner's. That partner is still around.
Still dumping waste.
I organized everything into a report, tagging every piece with a red label. The diary, license plates, dumping records, and 15 years of clippings. I handed it over. This time they believed. Thomas didn't die by accident. He died because he saw something he shouldn't have seen. That's why I do this. That's why the archive exists. The day Margaret heard the news, she cried in the archive room for 40 minutes. I sat next to her without saying a word. Sometimes, presence is more powerful than words. On the day of Thomas's trial, I sat in the observer's seat. Margaret sat next to me, holding my hand tightly. Her fingernails dug into the back of my hand, causing a slight pain, but I didn't pull away. She cried when the verdict was announced. It's not a silent cry, it's a howl. She cried. She couldn't stop. That was the cry she had been holding for 2 years. She leaned into me, like a child, like she had finally let go. Sometimes presence is more powerful than words.
Vera, thank you. Thank you for believing in me.
It wasn't me who believed in you. It was the evidence. It was the science.
But without you, those pieces of evidence are just paper. You said they mattered.
I looked at her and thought of my mother. If she were alive, she'd hug me like this and say thank you, but she won't, because she's dead, because she saw things she shouldn't have seen. Let's go. Time to go home. The archive room slowly gained a reputation. More and more people came to me. Some are cases that have been ignored by the police. Some are appeals that were rejected by the court. Some are victims forgotten by society. Each case is different, but the core of every case is the same. One died, and some say it was an accident, but the truth is not like that. I hired an assistant. Her name is Sophie, 24 years old, and she just graduated from law school. Vera, do you know that I used to think the law was fair? Sure. The law is fair, provided that someone is willing to speak up for the deceased. So, you're staying? I want to stay. Her eyes are very bright, like windows have just been washed clean. I laughed. It was the first time I had laughed in a long time. Sophie's first case was about a girl named Emily. Emily, a 19-year-old college student, died in her apartment. The police stated that it was a drug overdose, accidental. But her mother didn't believe her because Emily had never taken drugs. She doesn't even smoke.
How do you know she didn't do drugs?
Because she is my daughter. I raised her for 19 years. I know.
Sophie brought this case to me. I read the police report, checked Emily's phone records and her social media. Everything was totally normal, too normal for a fatal overdose. Then I noticed something. A man lived in her building, Carl, 32, her neighbor. He moved out the very next day after she died. Sophie, look into Carl.
Carl has a record. 3 years ago, attempted sexual assault. No jail time due to lack of evidence. He moved into Emily's building. Emily died. He moved out.
We didn't go directly to Carl. We found his ex-girlfriend first. Her name is Jenny, 29, living in San Francisco. I drove to find her. Sophie was in the passenger seat, holding a notebook. The hills on both sides of the highway looked like a golden blanket under the sun.
We're looking into a case.
What case?
A girl died. Her name is Emily.
He did it, right? Because he did the same to me. He drugged my drink.
How do you know?
When I woke up, I couldn't remember anything. But my body remembered. It hurt for days.
Did you call the police?
I did. The police said there was no evidence. He said I was drunk and fell on my own.
Jenny, this is Emily, 19 years old. She's dead. If someone had believed you then, maybe she would still be alive.
Vera, this man is terrifying. He's been doing this for years and no one has ever stopped him.
Now someone has.
Vera, thank you.
You're welcome. It's you who didn't give up.
I don't know how to live after she's gone.
You don't need to know, you just need to live, day by day. Until one day, you find yourself alive, then you will know how to live. The archives room has been open for 2 years. We have taken on 37 cases and won 29 of them. 8 are still ongoing. Sophie resigned from her job at the law firm and joined the team full-time. She moved her desk next to mine, with 2 computers placed back-to-back. Grace comes once a month, bringing her newly adopted dog. The dog, a yellow Labrador, quite fat. Its name's a Carlos. Veronica has gone to Europe, saying she wants to start a new life. She sent me a postcard featuring the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Many things have been posted on the wall. There are photos of Carlos, my mother's diary, and Emily's smile. I have Thomas's work ID. Each photo tells a story. Each story is a life. At night, I stand in front of that wall, looking in at those faces. What are you thinking? I'm thinking they were all someone. Not just cases. Not just file numbers. One day, I received a letter. It was from Richard, sent from prison. The envelope bore a prison stamp, the address scrolled in messy handwriting. The letter was short.
Vera, you won, but you also lost. You lost your mother. As for me, I lost nothing, because I had nothing to begin with.
I read the letter once, then tore it up, tore it into pieces and threw it in the trash. The shredded paper fell like snowflakes. He thought he could hurt me, but he can't anymore. Because the things he said, I've told myself 1,000,000 times. I lost my mom, I know. I think about her every day. Every morning when I wake up, the first thing I think is if she were still alive, what would she be doing? Maybe she'd make a cup of coffee, sit in the garden, and watch the bees. Maybe she'd call me and say, Vera, are you coming home for dinner tonight? Maybe she'd do nothing, just be alive. Being alive is enough, but she didn't. So I will live for her.
From him?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Let's go. We have cases waiting.
I went to my mother's grave, not on the day of the funeral, just an ordinary afternoon. The sun was bright, the wind was light, blowing the grass like green waves. Her name and dates of birth and death were engraved on the tombstone. I squatted down and wiped the dust off the tombstone with my sleeve. The lily petals are very white, like her white dress. Mom, I avenged you. He's locked up. He's never coming out. Mom, you know what? I opened an archive to help people like you, those who were called accidents, those who no one believed. Sophie helped me. Grace helped me. Veronica helped me too. You are not alone. We are not alone. That was a gift from Mom. Not a rose. It was a leaf. An ordinary leaf. But to me, it's more precious than any rose. Case came to the archive. A law lady, about years old, serve in a nursing home. The Urza has passed it. He was slishura and died towards Telsi. Animals believe it. Doing her Urzi does not dodge a disease. Urzas that najas every day. How do you think about too wealthy? The lady digits were shaking, and so was the paper.
Has your son ever been bullied?
In his company, he has a boss who is always targeting him, accusing him of trying to take his position. He is under a lot of pressure.
What is the name of that boss?
Michael!
Sophie went to check on Michael. An hour later, she raised her head from the computer. Michael has a criminal record. It's not a criminal case, but a civil case. 3 years ago, he was sued by a former employee on the grounds of workplace bullying. The case was settled. The former employee received a sum of money and signed a non-disclosure agreement. We went to find the former employee. He was unwilling to talk at first, but later, after seeing the photo of Emily and hearing about my mother's experience, he relented.
Michael once threatened me.
Do you believe that I can make you disappear?
I compiled this information into a report and handed it over to the police. This time, they believed, because Michael had the motive, the opportunity, and a criminal record. This is not the first time he has threatened others. It was just the first time he met someone who didn't believe in accidents.
Thank you, Vera.
You're welcome.
My son has left. I am alone. No one helps me.
You are not alone. I'm here. The verdict has been delivered. Michael has been sentenced to 20 years in prison. The old lady cried. Not in a loud, uncontrollable manner, but in silence, with tears falling one by one. I handed her a tissue. She didn't take it. She just cried. For a long time.
Vera, your mother must be very proud.
I hope so.
It's not a hope. It's a certainty.
It's been 5 years since the archive opened. We took 92 cases, won 71. 21 are still ongoing. Sophie became a partner. We added a brass plaque at the door, engraved with her name. Grace retired, but she still comes every month. She sits in the corner of the office, helping us organize the clippings, with a hot cup of tea always by her hand. Veronica came back from Europe. She said she wanted to volunteer. I asked her what she would do. Help you organize the archives. I said okay. Every face on this wall was once someone's whole world. Carlos, Lucia, Emily, Thomas, and so many more. Names I may never know, but I know they mattered. Below every face, a line of words, a story. They were called suicides, but they were silenced. But now they are seen, and that changes everything. Every night before leaving work, I stand in front of that wall, looking over those faces. It's a ritual. It's not a ritual. It's a reminder. To remind me why I do this. Vera, what are you thinking about? Thinking about my mother. When you miss her, how does it feel? It hurts. But the pain means I still remember her. Outside the archive window, it's the Los Angeles sunset. The tangerine light pours in, shining on those photos. Every face is glowing. Not literally glowing, but from the sunset. But I choose to believe it's them glowing. It's those forgotten people telling us they are still here. Grace is feeding the dog in the next room. The faint barking can be heard. Veronica is watering the flowers. The sound of water is very light. This is a home. A home not made of blood, but warmer than many homes made of blood. My mother's house became an archive. A home is those you are willing to archive. Those you will never replace. Those who, even in death, still live in your heart. Sit at the desk in the archive, holding an old diary. It's my mother's diary. Not from the year Richard killed her, but from when she was young. She was 18 then, just admitted to college, dreaming of becoming a journalist. Her handwriting is elegant, every stroke careful. She didn't become a journalist. She became a battered woman, a poisoned woman, a woman who died in the garden. But she wasn't an accident. She was stolen by a man, by a system, by the fear that no one will believe you. But she has me. I have her. I close the diary and put it on the desk. It's dark outside, but the lights are still on. Sophie is organizing tomorrow's cases. Grace is feeding her dog. Veronica is watering the flowers. We are not a family, but we are together, living for those who cannot. Another case, another family, another mother who said, "This isn't true." I will listen. I will read the evidence, and I will speak for those who can't. Because I know every case is a life, and every life deserves to be seen. And sometimes the most important truths are the ones we carry closest. I take that thornless rose out of the drawer. The petals have completely dried out, turning dark brown, but the shape is still there. I wrap it in cellophane and put it back in the drawer. It's the last secret between me and my mother. It tells me some truths are worth pursuing for a lifetime. Some love, even when dead, will not disappear.